Hello, you are listening to Germantown Community Radio, WRGU 92.9 FM. Welcome to the Jumpstart Philly Real Estate Radio Show, a weekly radio program that spotlights positive real estate development and neighborhood revitalization throughout Philadelphia. I'm your host, Derek Hengemil. Jumpstart Philly is a unique community development program that trains, mentors, networks, and provides funding to aspiring real estate developers in 7 different Philadelphia neighborhoods, including Germantown, where the program was founded. Jumpstart believes that you can do well by doing good and focuses on removing neighborhood blight, scattered site rehab, creating a healthy mix of affordable and market rate housing, and avoiding gentrification through slow, steady growth and keeping wealth local. Interviews are conducted during Jumpstart Germantown's weekly Jumpinar series on Monday nights at 7 p.m., held via Zoom webinar. For more information about these events, check out the events page at jumpstartgermantown.com. This week, I will be speaking with Wayne Nembhard, who is the founder and CEO of Digital Innovation, about smart home features for your investment property and how they can benefit your finished product. I hope you enjoy the conversation, and be sure to check out the podcast version of this program at jumpstartgermantown.com/media. So I want to welcome Wayne Nembhard, who started his career as a communications engineer in 1999 before founding his own company, Digital Innovation. The company was built using innovative and creative strategies that put it at the forefront of the tech industry in Philadelphia. Wayne believes that the sky's the limit for technology and strives to learn something new each and every day. His passion and drive have gotten him to where he is today as an innovator and leader in the field of technology. So I want to welcome the Digital Innovation CEO, Wayne Nembhard. How's it going, Wayne?
It's going great. Love it.
Yeah. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. And maybe, before we get into some questions, you could just tell us a little bit about, what you do at Digital Innovation and what your company does for the city.
Great. So pretty much we are an integrator, systems integrator, and we integrate technology throughout the city of Philadelphia into homes and commercial properties. And primarily what I'm doing is I run the organization a lot of the day to day. I'm also the chief innovator, so I sit back and come up with new ideas and solve problems every day. But it just is a great joy to really help to bring technology to the citizens of Philadelphia.
Cool. I like that you call yourself an innovator. That reminds me of us. We call our attendees and stuff Jumpstarters. So it's a nice ER. It's something.
Yeah. Yes.
Jumpstarters. I think it's all in the same realm. So we're happy.
Yes, absolutely.
Cool. So the first question I want to ask you, and this will kind of just be an introduction into the topic, which is smart homes. What does it mean to have a smart home? My vision goes, I think there was a movie on Disney Channel like a decade ago called Smart Home or something. And it's like a robot system in your house that's talking to you, and you can say like, you can speak out to it, kind of like Alexa or whatever. And that's, I feel like was my childhood vision of a smart home, but obviously, future has come and now it's like a real thing that we have to think about. Tell us a little bit about what it means to have a smart home and I'll let you answer that and then I'll ask my next question.
Sure. So I'm gonna give you a high level answer. So the high level answer for a smart home is simply that you have a home that has sensors throughout that are basically controlling different things throughout your house. So for instance, your lighting, you can sit there and have your lighting go on and off based off of any particular state your home is in, like particular time of the day, who's in the house. You can also have like your camera stream to your phone if someone walks up to your front door, if someone's moving around in your backyard, where it automatically will do it without you doing anything. So a lot of things with a smart home, it's actually doing things for you, not necessarily you asking or kind of requesting things to happen.
Mm-hmm. So are they something that's like common in newly developed homes, or is it just starting to break into the industry, or where are we at?
So it's not new, but what's going on, the cost of it has gone down tremendously. And what's going on now, because the Internet of Things and everything is just wanting to be connected to the Internet, and for convenience, we definitely are at a point where there's some basic things that people want now. Like people want a doorbell that they can see and speak to whoever's at their door from anywhere. That's right. Like basic. People do want to start controlling their locks. when, like, if someone else is there and they want to unlock the door, whoever is there. So those are some basic things. And of course, having your alarm to protect your property if you're not there, calling the authorities. These are some basic things that people are looking for right now.
Yeah. So is that like a major driver in the buying decision for people on the market right now, or do people really care about it? I guess, like, is it a big selling point?
I definitely think it's a big selling point. Just seeing going from property to property, a lot of owners or even sellers of a house, they do want to invest in some basic things to the house, because, again, if you're a buyer and you're new, especially if you're new to Philadelphia, you want to have a little bit of something to make you feel secure. And yes, the premise of smart homes do have a strong thing around security, because that's really like what people think about, and then everything else kind of cascades down. So if you do have some basic stuff in your house, they do look at that over another house, especially if it's like the same price point, same area. Yeah.
Right. So just from what you're describing, it kind of sounds like it's not an all or nothing approach. There's certain, you can kind of modify certain aspects to market to different people, I guess. Like you said, the security system is a big driver, but then some people might like only want lighting fixtures or something.
That's correct. That's correct. That's correct. And to add to that, when you look at a house, not necessarily having all of the technology inside there all at one time, but if your house is kind of pre-wired for having the TVs on the wall, having cable in there, having the internet, having the cameras kind of pre-wired inside the house, that is a big upsell, because people do want to know that, hey, we don't have to do all this when we move in. All we have to do is just buy the house and just like put things in without actually going through tearing up the walls.
Right. Yeah. So I guess it also depends on like the developers and like how much they have to tear out of the property, right? Like if you're not taking out the walls, you're not going to spend the extra time to demo the walls, going in and install.
That's correct. That's correct. And then if that's the case, then you could go with a hybrid solution. So if like, hey, listen, all we're doing is putting a kitchen and bath, then you say, okay, fine. If we're only going to open up the walls inside the kitchen and the bathroom, maybe we can put something in that back bedroom, or maybe we can do something in the living room and kitchen. So you really want to be very smart about what you do.
Right. So I think that was a good road we were going down there. Let's talk about the rehab process, like from start to finish, and kind of walk through the different parts of it and what decisions you need to make to end up with an effective smart home at the end.
Sure.
So before you say you just acquired a house, and before you even you maybe got a contractor's estimate and you did a couple walkthroughs, but before you even start the process, what decisions do you need to make to ensure that you're going to be able to have a working product at the end?
So the very first thing you want to do is you want to see, hey, number one, is there anything there? But let's just say this is going to be like a total rehab. You're going to like take everything down. The very first thing I would do is look at everything that you want to do in the home. For instance, cable wiring, internet, security, cameras, thermostat. Those are some like basic stuff that you can look at. Now, once you come to the conclusion that these are some of the things that you're going to do, then think about this. This is going to be a construction site. You're going to have contractors walking back and forth. Some of this can be layered together. So what I mean by layered together, you can have what we can consider a smart construction site. So before you even get to a smart home, which is completed, you make this a smart construction site where you can have your locks, you can have one camera, and then you can have your alarm system to protect the site.
Mm-hmm. Right. So backing up a second, think about what decisions you need to make and everything. It's kind of like when you're working up your construction budget, you're submitting a pro forma to a lender or something like Jumpstart. It should kind of be worked into your construction budget, like as if it was like just like all your other line items, right? Like
absolutely, yes, yes. And they're basically going to be look at as basic upgrades. Like you'll be surprised to know how many people totally forget to put a doorbell in. Mm-hmm. Totally forget that because you're so concerned about everything else, like no doorbell. So that is some things that you can definitely look at as far as what kind of technology am I going to put in here to actually kind of like work through the whole process.
Mm-hmm. And we'll get into, I have a question for you a little bit later about this.
Sure.
As far as like determining, the costs for that and what sorts of, like how much money you need to leave in your budget for specifically smart home features. is that something you can like find out yourself, or is that something you should expect a contractor to give you an amount for? Like would your standard contractor be able to, you say, I want to put smart home features in this property? Would they be able to give you numbers, or is it on your own end to search up that?
So if you want to use a contractor, the closest one that could give you some basic numbers would be your electrical contractor. Right. But I would definitely say you should team up with some type of low voltage contractor that you find to be very innovative, that can bring some different things to on the table. And you should have a relationship with that company so that you can kind of grow with them. But I would definitely say at the basic level, you should look to see, all right, what can I carve out to do it? Even if it's as simple as a doorbell, you definitely want, and when I say doorbell, it will be a video, not just a regular ding dong doorbell, but you definitely should carve out some type of technology, because when like selling a home, there is an option now where you can add different things inside of that actual listing. So it does matter now. Yeah, gotcha. Okay, so let's move, further in the process. Sure. You get that in your budget, what you're going to install and when. Now you're tearing down the walls and you're really getting into the weeds of the construction process. What decisions do you need to make then? Once the walls are down, what opportunities are now open for you to kind of install? Well, you definitely want to plan out something. So I would definitely say don't tear down the walls and just start thinking. I would definitely plan this. All right, fine. If we're going to, we're doing electrical. So something very simple like that, we know we're going to put electric inside the property. Let's think through this. Should we put it at a TV height? So that we know, not a TV height, but on the wall so it can sit on the wall. So basically, it's going to go on there. So you go ahead and pre-wire that. That's some like basic stuff that does not actually cost a whole lot more to do that. But for a buyer, they're going to love to know that that's one less thing for us to do. But I would definitely say that is a great idea to really, really kind of plan it out. Mm-hmm. And then walk through the property and kind of figure out how much of this do you really want to invest. Right. Yeah. So let's assume, you do have to take down all the walls. I'm like kind of thinking logistically, probably the thermostat, like that system would have to, or would that need the walls out, or that's just a fixture on the wall, right? Well, let's just say you're doing a complete rehab so now you're going to run new wires. Well, the wire for the thermostat is the same regardless. Is actually the device that you put on the other end is smart. So like you use like a Nest thermostat that is using existing wires. Right. So you pretty much can wire any kind of wire. Is just to know that you're going to use that kind of device on the end. Right. So that's what you're really looking for behind the walls is the wiring, making sure you're lining. Correct. Following it later. Okay. Correct. Cool. Yes. So let's move on then. So maybe you put up your drywall now and you're finishing the flooring and everything, and now you're looking at putting in those fixtures and sort of like from when you get the electrical and the plumbing and the HVAC all set up. What's next? Like what can you do after that? Like along the construction process before you're putting on the finishes. You said earlier, smart construction site. That's a really cool term, and maybe you can explain that a little bit more. Like, what does that mean to have a smart construction site, and why is it important during the rehab process? So once you have decided, hey, listen, I'm going to invest some type of put some type of technology inside here. You can now think about actually using that technology during your construction. So for instance, the smart lock, you can actually put that on the door. This might not actually be your final door, but this is a door that you say, well, listen, that hardware we can still use. So that's great. As far as the thermostat goes, if this is going to be a project that you're going to have during the wintertime, perfect example is that contractor may or may not turn that heat off. Mm-hmm. So you might be heating this site 24/7, and you might not want to do that. The other thing is now being able to like look around. So again, if there's something going on, you can look on a camera. But where you put everything during the construction site can actually carry straight on to the final. Mm-hmm. So the benefit is that you pretty much can monitor what's going on at the site without being there. Awesome. Yeah, that's cool. And I remember one of the or I was on an inspection with Ken or something, where we were going to the house and somebody thought of a really creative idea to put turn the radio on right by the front door to make sure somebody was walking by thinking, oh, there's this abandoned property. I might be able to get in there. And they think someone's there. But this sounds like a much more intuitive way to Yes. And I can give you a very good scenario. So imagine your contractor's not there and you want to accept delivery on something, right? Now you've decided that this is the way that you want to go. You could literally have someone ring your doorbell, you answer it and you go, oh, okay, great. I'm going to unlock the door and I want you just to put the package or whatever inside the property. Mm-hmm. You're not there.
Yeah, that makes it a lot easier. And
yes,
while we always encourage people, to be at their property every day or something, there's times when you can't. And
you can't.
And especially when you have, I guess, contractors that, maybe new contractors you might not know. And I feel like it might be creepy on the onset to be like, I'm watching you all the time, but
it's your investment. You definitely want to keep an eye on it.
Yeah, provide some sense of accountability, which is great.
Absolutely.
Through these Jumpstars, I've heard some tales of contractors going wrong with their decisions, and it seems like it could be prevented by having, like you said, that security system.
And again, if you want to lock someone out, again, you'd have an alarm system on the property, and you would have access to that smart lock, so you could easily just change the code, and they're out.
Right. So I want to go back to what you were saying about how that security system that you have set up could be carried on to be the same kind of framework for when you're putting the finishing touches on it and everything. Does that mean like everything will be connected to one like smart brain, I guess? Could you consider like the security system the brain of the smart home?
Yeah, so not only would the security, yes, to answer your question in the short, yes, absolutely. Using an alarm system that has an integrated app, for instance, we use alarm.com, and having one platform, one app that you basically can control everything, it just makes it a whole lot easier. So when it comes time to actually move it over to the homeowner, there's actually a process to say transfer ownership to the new owner. So it's already built into it.
That means like the thermostat and the lighting and the doorbell and everything, that's all under one umbrella, right?
That is correct. Yes.
Well, so far, Wayne, you've convinced me. I don't have.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, so now let's talk about, as construction's wrapping up, you're putting those finishing touches on and everything. Tell me a little bit about the little cherries on top that you can put on your project. Like we already talked about the thermostat a bit, but I want to hear about like speaker systems and everything. What are some cool maybe examples you've seen of like creative ways that people have implemented stuff at the end of their project?
Sure. So some of the things are lighting. Having lighting control. So now you can basically have your lights in and outside controlled by the same app. The next thing is adding like any type of, like if you want to do irrigation, let's just say you want to irrigate outside, that can also be tied into it. As far as the music goes, you now can tie in like a platform called Sonos. So basically your playlist can actually be inside there. So it's literally this app that you're kind of scrolling down. That's like the heart of everything. So as a new homeowner, it just becomes one less thing that you would have to worry about because it's kind of already all there. But some of the cool things that I've seen is that there's a feature called geofencing. So literally, it knows as you're walking up to the door, it's you. The door unlocks. The light comes on based on how you want the light to come on. Like if you're going to go straight to the kitchen, the lights will slowly dim on and go to the kitchen, and your favorite jazz song comes on.
Cool. So you can get really creative with it, and that's
absolutely
a selling point, I feel like, because when you think of like finishes on a home or stuff, you don't think that somebody can come in and then when someone's like walking through a house they're interested in buying, they're expecting what's there to be what they're living in. But with the smart home, it kind of sounds like you can customize it like throughout.
Correct.
Like the selling point is that there's no fixed setup. Like people can kind of do whatever they want with it, right?
Yeah, that's correct. And I'll definitely say that homeowners definitely see these items. Do they expect them? I won't say that they expect them, but they see them, and that definitely helps their buying decision.
Yeah, so whether it be consciously or not. Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. Especially if you go a little crazy in like a man cave and you're really like lay it out, or a she shed, and you go and like you're really that will really get people to say yes, I want the house in the first look.
If you're just tuning in, this is a conversation with Wayne Nembhard, who is the founder and CEO of Digital Innovation, about smart home features for your investment property and how they can benefit your finished product. Thanks for listening to the Jumpstart Philly Real Estate Radio Show on Germantown Community Radio, WRGU 92.9 FM. I hope you're enjoying the discussion.
Cool. So taking another look at it from the developer's perspective, I'm sure a lot of people, it might do some buy and sell projects and sell finished products, but I imagine a lot of people are renting and set up multi-unit properties. And I'm sure there's some nuances and differences between smart homes in a single family home setting versus a duplex or a triplex. What should people expect to be different in that scenario?
So if you're going in a multi-tenant property, one of the first things is a video intercom. Allowing the tenants is basically, if you look at what Nest does and the one-to-one, there are commercial video intercom systems that will allow you to do that. So each tenant essentially will have an app on their phone, and when someone rings the bell, they can actually see and talk to them and let them in using their smartphone. That's from the tenant piece. That's a very, very important thing that I see a lot of properties are kind of coming standard with. The other thing for the actual owner is having cameras on the property to actually see, hey, listen, is trash being taken out? Is the sidewalk plowed? So things like that is a big selling point.
So, something that comes to mind in a multi-unit property, would the landlord still have access to the smart home features of the individual tenants? Could the landlord look at the cameras or anything? I'm not sure how that dynamic, when someone's renting a property, do they get the keys to the smart home system, or is there still some landlord involvement in that?
No. So if the smart locks would be owner transferred. So the smart locks that we use have a key override, but you would hand that over to the actual owner of that unit, and then if you have to change it, then you would actually go in there with the key and you can go in there and change it. But as far as the cameras in the intercom, that's only from the visitors to tenant. The owner would be the one to see the cameras around the property. And if you have any cameras inside the property, it would be in a common area. You would not want it inside the actual unit.
Gotcha.
Yes.
So I guess that's really the main focus in a multi-unit property is going to be the doorbell and intercom. Do you see people going to that length of putting, the entire system in a single unit of a multi-unit property?
Well, I do see there's a big uptick now, especially in Philadelphia, people adding alarm systems inside the unit and offering that as a part of their lease to do that. And again, that is going straight to the tenant, and the tenant is kind of controlling that. But that is the new thing that a lot of owners are doing. But aside from that, those are big things. Now, you can do wire it for internet and cable, but for the most part, is really that the security piece is really what people want.
Right. So also from the tenant perspective, or even the buyer's perspective, once they buy a house that has that smart home system, would any extra costs be added to their budget moving forward, or are you as the developer paying for the entire system and then they're getting it? Is there a subscription fee? I guess that's what I'm getting at.
So one of the things that we do is we basically we work with a lot of developers, and what we'll do is we'll come up with a package that basically is attractive to them and also for the buyer, where for the first year it's all a part of it. So when the buyer buys a property, they're really not worried about anything until the next year. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So you can actually kind of put it all together, and then during closing you can say, hey, listen, it's all taken care of for one year. After one year, you decide you want to continue. It's done.
Cool, awesome. And
yes.
You started to talk about it a little bit there, but obviously, you offer a service for people looking to implement smart home technology in their houses. This is your chance to give your plug. How is digital innovation there to assist developers? What does your business usually look like?
So pretty much we work really close with developers. We actually become their partner because what we want to do is we want to learn what you're trying to do. What is your budget? And we really build a relationship. So it's not really, we're not looking at the transaction. We're looking at how can we help you move forward with this project. That's why we'll start from helping you to make your life easy. And one of the things is we say, well, we can give you a smart construction site. And then we can turn that into a piece that you can actually cash in later on by selling the same thing that you were using to help protect and make your process easy. You can now sell that, and that becomes a value to the new homeowner. So a lot of times we really, because we've been doing this for so long, we can really sit down and go, all right, step by step. This is what we would say in this particular area is really hot, and over here probably not so. And then we kind of can grow with that.
You mean there's different areas of the city where smart home technology is?
Yeah.
It correlates with new construction and gentrification, I'm sure, pretty closely, right?
Absolutely. The closer you are into a lot of activity, you tend to want to have securities really there. That property could be going for 400,000, 600,000, 700,000. It doesn't matter. You just imagine someone buying this property. They know what's going on. This gives them a little bit of peace to know, all right, fine, I have this here. I can use it. It's all ready to go. And then vice versa. If you're working on the property, it's like, I'm going to leave material here. I want to know it's going to be here tomorrow.
Okay, well, we're doing great on time, and I think it's good because we'll have plenty of time for Q&A. But my last question for you, because I know it's going to be asked in the Q&A is, what should people expect, like financial, like dollar for dollar, to be added onto their rehab budget? I'm sure it's not much, but when it comes down to like whether a loan will be accepted or whether you'll be granted a loan or approved for any sort of financing, you might need to have those very specific values. What would be reasonable versus unreasonable for a smart home installation in terms of cost?
So for just a standard property, nothing too crazy, you should look between 15 to 3,500 at that range as your starting point. And then from there, depending on what type of system and what you want, you can actually take it up or you can bring it down. But that's a nice range to be in. Gotcha.
So about like probably half what you're going to spend on electricity. It's just like adding to that, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
So before we wrap up here, I just want to give you another chance. Any other tips or industry secrets you want to share, or any last?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And now, so some of this stuff you do not need to necessarily hire a company. Again, you can work with your electrician if you're handy, and you understand some basic stuff. These are some basic things that you can add. It's not like going to any of the big box stores and buying those products is not a bad idea. Some of the consumer stuff that you see out there is not that bad. We really don't push it, but some of them really work well. And these are different things that you can add.
By consumer stuff, you mean like going to a Best Buy and picking out their...
Correct. Because a lot of those things are intended to go straight to the person that owns it, not like you're going to use it and then sell it. So it's like some gray areas there, but you can definitely push on. So again, you don't necessarily have to start really large in like big massive budget. You can start really basic, smart thermostat and a doorbell and stop, or you can continue to go.
Yeah. And it sounds like there's even a chance, if you have a property and you're already renting it out, if you're trying to keep that tenant for a couple more years, slap some smart home features on it, right?
Yep. I mean, if you have a property, I would definitely focus on security. That is what's on a lot of people's minds now, and that's very, very important. So if you do have a property, putting cameras on the exterior, putting in a video intercom, or even offering to put a security system inside a property, and that's on the extreme side, will definitely help your tenants stay there.
Great. Awesome. Well, that does it for my questions. And we see we have plenty here in the Q&A from our audience.
Sure.
Thank you so much for joining us. And that was a great conversation. And
I love it.
On the news. So I appreciate your preparation and the discussion.
Thank you.
All All right. So our first question here comes from Tamika, and she's wondering, can you speak about the current demand for Li-Fi, Li-Fi, and the future projection of its integration in homes? I'm not familiar with Li-Fi. Are you? Maybe it's a typo.
No, Li-Fi or Wi-Fi?
Li.fi, but maybe Wi-Fi is what she's referring to. Yeah.
Okay, because that is a thing now. So if we are talking about Wi-Fi, yes. So that can be a very tricky scenario because you're basically bringing internet in and you need to divide it up. So in a multi-tenant scenario, if you're going to bring internet inside there and you're going to offer that as a part of the package, you do need to secure it so that each tenant cannot access the other tenant. That is a trend that I'm hearing starting to really gain some traction, but it's definitely something if they want to know more about, it's a good idea. It's a good idea.
Gotcha.
But I want to say this, that there is an upfront cost that you have to look into and make sure that it works. So I think it's going to take you a little while to get your investment back, or if you decide to inflate your lease just a little bit to cover it, it could work.
Right. Yeah, we all know well how many problems can arise from internet companies. So great. Appreciate the insight there. The next question comes from Courtney, and she's wondering, are there any grants specifically available for smart technology within homes? Are you aware of it?
No, not. So the city of Philadelphia did have a security program that, of course, because of the current state that we're in, is no longer, and that was only designed to work on certain corridors of the city. But aside from that, I don't know of any grants that are out there.
Okay, great. And the next question, it's again from Tamika, and she says, we know that kitchens and baths add value to homes. Can you tell us the top 2 or 3 tech items that you put in a home that can offer the highest return on income when selling the home? So I think you iterated a couple of times, but it sounds like, what are your top 2?
So I would definitely say you want to do cameras, doorbell, thermostat, and alarm is where, if you do that, it's very attractive.
And just curious, do those things typically come in bundles, or?
Yes. You can actually get all that as a package. Yes.
Cool. Next comes from Brenda, and she's wondering, would I need to have Wi-Fi at the house during the rehab in order to utilize smart technology? Yeah, that's a great question, Brenda. Very
great question. For some of it, yes. And where that comes from is some of the devices have built-in Wi-Fi, so it pretty much needs power. Once you power it, then all of the devices talk to that.
Gotcha.
So I give you a good example. Obviously, with alarms, phone lines are no longer a thing. They completely talk through the cellular network, and then they communicate to the lock, and they also communicate to the thermostat. And then the cameras run off of Wi-Fi.
Gotcha. So it's unlikely to be a scenario that you need to buy a Wi-Fi router to operate all your stuff. It would be within what you're purchasing.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you can. So to go to the next level as far as streaming, the doorbell and the video surveillance needs Wi-Fi. But again, it normally comes with a package to say you're going to get it's not necessarily a hotspot, but it's actually a security Wi-Fi adapter that basically allows you to go online, right, and it talks to those devices.
Right, and when you say streaming, that's like having the live feed on your phone.
That's correct. Gotcha. And you'd only use that during the construction phase. You would not pass that on to the homeowner.
Right. Yeah, that's got to take out of there. Okay, cool. So the next question comes from Keith, and he's wondering what authentication features are available on the app so that if your device is lost or stolen, someone can't access a property when stepping into the geofence. So I guess what identification technology is there, and how can you be sure that someone else isn't using it?
Great question. You do have to unlock your phone.
There you go.
Very good one. You do have to unlock your phone.
And is there any, I bet different products, offer different levels of like cybersecurity, but one of my concerns would be like someone being able to hack into it or like access the network or something. Is that ever a concern or?
Absolutely, should always be a concern, because I say like this: everything is hackable. I do not say that you cannot hack anything, but platforms that you should use or should be well-known platforms that have security, that can have a two-factor authentication when you're setting it up. So if you like, for instance, if you lose it, you can put your password in and then it will send something back to you that you can confirm it. So I would not recommend buying things that aren't like from well-known manufacturers.
Yeah, as with anything, really, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's what we all say, but.
Okay, so next question comes from Kim, and she's wondering, what is the average cost to set up a smart construction site? So maybe specifically just the cameras and the lock system for a construction site.
Yeah, you can pretty much start something like that for about $1,000. When you look at the locks, the like alarm, and then having sensors and so on put on there.
Okay, cool. Are those lock codes, or sorry, this is from Adam, and he's wondering, are those lock codes able to be used for Amazon deliveries?
Yes.
Okay. And that, how do you do? You just like send it to them? Like,
yes.
Amazon account?
Yes. Yep. And basically now this is automation now. You would want to have a camera there to really see exactly what happens, so you get notified when they actually walk up to the property, and then when they put the code in, you'll be alerted, so you can see, and then you know that the door was open and then closed.
Right. Okay. Next one comes from an anonymous attendee, and they want to do most security companies want you to sign a 3-year contract. So I guess, yeah, well, what is when you sign up for a security system, what is your time you spent in there?
Yeah, that's a great question. We don't do contracts, and there are a lot of companies, because of the, they're giving you a lower rate. They're kind of like saying, okay, you have to sign a 3-year contract. Now, I will say, mostly all of them, when you sign that contract, when you're selling a property, you in theory can transfer that to the homeowner, and then the homeowner will continue that. So if you have a year-long project, then you're going to be in there for like a year, and then you hand it off, then it's two more years. But if you are going to do that, you definitely want to check ahead of time. Listen, I'm selling the property, so what is the process of transferring? Because you don't want to get stuck with paying for it if the homeowner doesn't want it.
Right, but it sounds like digital innovation. You focus on like one-time services, kind of like the instant.
Oh yeah, we do month to month. We got out of that very very early on, because we wanted to give people choice. So if you want to keep it. If you don't, keep on going.
Awesome.
Yes.
Another question here from Keith, and he's wondering, you might have already answered this, but can you customize settings for multiple users with different levels of clearance? Perhaps tenant settings that are subordinate to the landlords. Or I think of, if a mom wants to set different settings for children or something like that. Can you do that?
Absolutely. So from a user perspective, you can say, you can only gain access to the property between these times. And if anyone comes after this time, I want to be alerted. So yes, you can customize it to no end. Yes.
I'm hearing a lot of yeses from you, Wayne. So that must mean
I'll try to say no, but it's hard. It's smart. It's smart technology. It's all yes.
Yeah, that proves how intuitive it is. It really is kind of customizable. That's with anything,
Absolutely.
It has technology in it these days. Just is like you can do whatever you want.
Yep, and it changes every single day.
Yeah, right. Okay, next comes from Atiba. They're wondering, is digital innovation a full service installer or provider? And if so, can you do motion detected lighting as well as heated floors?
Oh, very good question. So the heated floors will be done by a plumber, but what we can do is control it through a thermostat. So we can control that, because that basically turns into another zone. And yes, we're a full service. We sell, we integrate, and we service.
Yeah, and going back to what we were saying earlier, you got to or plan that sort of stuff out, right? So because you want to make sure that the plumbing heated floor system that has a way to be connected to your system and everything, right?
Right. Well, generally, yes. Generally, it is a thermostat of like a controller of some sort that's used to control it. But definitely knowing that, hey, listen, this is going to be something that we're going to have as a separate zone to be able to control it based off of, you can do based off of the temperature in the room or based off of you walking in there. You want it to be hot or cold. I don't know.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so Andrew, there's just a few more here, and Andrew is just
sure.
You can get your contact information, for any further questions or business opportunities. Do you want to say that out loud, and I'll type it in the chat here?
Sure. You can call our office at 215-248-5001 or visit our website at digitalinnovation.info.
Gotcha. All right, sounds good. That's how people can get in contact, and I'll send that out in the follow-up email tomorrow to make sure people know where they can find you. And
absolutely.
Okay, so again, this is another question from Atiba, and they're wondering, in addition, what would some top-tier smart home package consist of? What are some of the features and amenities of smart homes that are not normally mentioned? So one creative one you said earlier was about irrigation, for a garden, I guess. What are some other like unique ones you haven't seen too often?
Well, so the other thing is, if you decide that you want to do any kind of alternative energy, that can also be a part of it, where you're actually knowing how much, like you want to put solar panels on your roof. That is a part of your energy plan. So when you look on the app, there's sections. They're basically in different sections. So in the energy section, now you can actually see, well, how much power is my house generating? Yes, and definitely the irrigation is a big one. What are some other things? Those are top ones. Those are top ones. Now you can change a lot of your outlets, and also make them smart too. So if you wanted to be able to turn particular things on, like I am very lazy, and my Christmas tree I had on a cycle. So I wanted to always turn my Christmas trees on without going down and plugging in. But I wanted, when I got home, my Christmas tree was on. So that has to show you, like, using a smart outlet that you can do things like that.
Cool. All right, and the last question here comes from Ty Bennett, who's a Jumpstart borrower. So what's going on, Ty? He's wondering, what are some things most landlords tend to like for their units? So going back to what we were talking about, multi-unit properties, as a landlord, what could be most beneficial to you? And I'm sure it's going to be in line with what we've said, but
sure. So what's beneficial for the landlord is having eyes on the property, seeing what's going on, because that is your investment. That is for the landlord, but as far as for the tenant, is giving them the ability to talk and see who is talk to, and see who's at the front door before they let someone in.
And that concludes my conversation with Wayne Nembhard, founder and CEO of Digital Innovation, about smart homes. Next week, I'll be speaking with an economist and PhD, Kevin Gillen, from Drexel University's Lindy Institute for Urban Innovation, about the current housing market trends and how Jumpstarters can best utilize market data and research to make informed decisions while evaluating project deals. The interviews on this program are recorded during Jumpstart Germantown's weekly Jumpinar series, which takes place via Zoom webinar every Monday night at 7 p.m. And if you'd like to participate in the live Q&A with our guest, be sure to head to jumpstartgermantown.com/events and register for next week's Jumpinar. If you're interested in starting a Jumpstart program in your own community, you can visit gojumpstart.org and see our how-to guide and open source training workbook. Thank you so much for listening to the Jumpstart Philly Real Estate Radio Show on Germantown Community Radio, WRGU 92.9 FM. And be sure to tune in next week.